NASCAR is moving the street race from Chicago to San Diego for at least 1 year, leaving the July 4th weekend slot open for grabs. Let's break down all you need to know. Hello everybody, welcome to Dirty Air. I'm your host Alex Lambert, and we have a lot to talk about today revolving the 2026 NASCAR schedule. San Diego street race, Chicago street race is now going off the calendar for at least 1 year. We'll talk a little bit about Chicagoland Speedway again, and then of course we head into the Brickyard 400 this weekend, so a lot to get into. We'll get into all of it. First off, I want to mention Brickyard 400 Sunday. It's going to be an exciting race. It's once again, that is one of the crown jewels of NASCAR. You have Denny Hamlin trying to get the, what would you call it, a NASCAR Grand Slam, win all the crown jewel races. He's won the Southern 500. He's won the Coke 600. He's won the Daytona 500 3 times. Denny Hamlin is I think the only driver going for the Grand Slam this week at the Brickyard 400. So we'll see if Denny Hamlin can win the Brickyard 400. He's been close a few times, but hasn't been able to get it done. You have Kyle Larson going for 2 consecutive Brickyard 400 wins. He was able to win it a year ago. So we'll see once again. When you go to the Brickyard, it seems like you always have your championship drivers win that race, right? That's a race that, Jimmy Johnson won. Kyle Busch won it consecutively. Kyle Larson, champion drivers typically win that race, and I don't expect any less this season at the Brickyard. So once again, we'll get into that. We'll talk a little bit more about how that goes Sunday night after the race. It should be a good race weekend from the Brickyard. But anyway, NASCAR. Big news today. NASCAR in San Diego. NASCAR released a long promotional video. It was about 3 minutes. It was actually a really good video. It looked almost like a movie trailer. It was fun to watch. Featured Joey Logano, Chase Elliott, Noah Gragson, Hocevar, a few other drivers. Other big name drivers too for the Cup Series, so certainly that was funny and fun to watch. But NASCAR going to the Navy base, Coronado Navy base in San Diego. Should be an exciting race. I'm excited to see what we get out of this. We do not have a layout yet for the street race here in San Diego. But it looks like NASCAR is embracing this event. Looks like we're going to make this a pretty big deal. This should be one of NASCAR's big races of the 2026 season. So that's one thing that's exciting. The weather in San Diego is usually great. It seems like it's always around 80-something degrees in San Diego. Sunny skies are majority of the season and majority of the year for San Diego. So we should get solid weather there in June in San Diego. So I'm excited for that. And I just hope we get a big event feel out of this. And I think NASCAR is already doing a great job of that. Obviously, honoring the Navy and everything that supports is certainly big as well, honoring the country while we do this on Father's Day weekend. Once again, another big thing, this will be moved to Father's Day weekend, so I believe that's June 21st of 2026, which leaves the July 4th slot open, right? So once again, just before we move on, once again, some views from the street course or the base course here. Once again, that's some views that NASCAR San Diego Twitter account or X account has posted. So once again, like I said, sunny skies, palm trees. It looks like it should be a fun event. Also, another concern, will fans be allowed to attend? Yes, we've already gotten word from NASCAR that over tens of thousands of fans are expected to attend. So that means that it should be very accessible to NASCAR fans that want to buy a ticket and go, which is certainly fantastic news. But that does leave the July 4th slot open, and this is something that I don't think I've been bothered too much personally by it, but a lot of fans take that July 4th weekend in NASCAR very seriously. You went to Daytona on July 4th weekend from the 50s to maybe the 60s, all the way to 2019. NASCAR moved that date, that traditional July 4th week at Daytona. A lot of people that don't follow NASCAR that heavily, some people, even casual fans, still think that the July 4th weekend is going to host the Daytona Summer Race, and it just does not right now. So certainly we'll see what happens. It doesn't look like Daytona wants that date back. It looks like Daytona now has 3 big weekends. You have the Daytona 500, you have the Daytona Summer Race in late August or September, and then you have the July 4th weekend, which creates 3 big weeks for Daytona Beach. Now, not to say NASCAR wouldn't move it back entirely. It's not entirely out of the question. That just doesn't seem very realistic from everything that I've seen so far. I still like Road America. I've mentioned that 100 times, but I still like Road America on July 4th weekend, but it doesn't look like that is very realistic right now either. So 4th of July weekend, open for grabs. Don't exactly know where we could go. It could be Atlanta. Seems like a popular deal, and it could be Daytona. You never know. But I just want to mention that the July 4th weekend in NASCAR, as it stands right now, is up for grabs. We don't know where that race will be at once again, so we'll see what NASCAR does with it moving forward. And once again, Chicago Street Race. This was on a few days ago. I think this was July 18th, so last week. The Chicago Street Race did release a statement that they do want the race to come back. They said this is an iconic event in global sports, acknowledging how big of a deal the Chicago Street Race turned out being. And it doesn't look like we will go back in 2020, or we know we will not go back in 2026. So we're going to pause this race for at least 1 year, most likely to go to San Diego. You don't want to have multiple street races. I don't think NASCAR's looking at that in one season. But it looks like there is a strong effort to return in 2027 to Grant Park to the Chicago Street Race. They've built a large amount of fans, it looks like, in Chicago. It seems like Chicago is embracing. Just a quick shout out to the city of Chicago, because the city of Chicago, there was a lot of controversy when we started this event in, 2023 was the first year of this race. A lot of NASCAR fans didn't really want this event to happen, especially on July 4th. A lot of Chicago residents didn't really want this Chicago Street Race to happen in their, big city, in their park, to shut down roadways on a big weekend. And I think it was overall embraced. I think NASCAR in Chicago embraced it. I think NASCAR fans definitely embraced it. Like I said, it's now a big event on the NASCAR calendar. One of their big races that everybody wants to catch and everybody wants to see on the NASCAR calendar. The fans in Chicago would climb onto things and to try to see what was going on. I think NASCAR overall embraced it. I think the city of Chicago overall embraced it, and I want to appreciate that. As a race fan, as somebody that cares about NASCAR, I do appreciate that Chicago really embraced this event. Where we saw the LA Clash maybe not embrace so much, NASCAR in Chicago was certainly something that fans tend to like. I know there were some complaints about July 4th weekend. I understand that. You live in a city, you pay taxes. That's your city, that's your park in a way that you want to go to on a holiday weekend. I totally understand moving that weekend. Overall, I would love to see this race come back, because I think it's overall become kind of a staple on the NASCAR calendar, at least right now. I'd love to see this racetrack return. The storylines too. SVG, can he continue to dominate the streets of Chicago? Who can beat him? That's storylines I want to see continue into 2027. Looks like we could get that. I do want to mention, just because I used to love this racetrack, and I think a lot of other fans want to see it return too. Dale Jr., Carson Osifar made comments about it. Chicagoland Speedway is still sitting there in Joliet, Illinois, about an hour south of downtown Chicago. Fans want this racetrack to return. It looks like it is very possible that this 1.5-mile oval, that's almost more of a circle than it is an oval, which makes it more unique than other racetracks. It's like constantly turning. You don't really get a straightaway at this racetrack, a full straightaway at this racetrack. Could return for the first time since 2019. I would love to see that racetrack come back. It would probably be a phenomenal race. It would be similar to Kansas, but maybe even better with these new race cars. I would love to see that racetrack come back. I hope fans would come to it if NASCAR does decide to bring it. That's one that I think I would want to go to if we go to Chicago, because we don't know how long it would stay. But Chicagoland Speedway very realistically could be on the upcoming schedule. But yeah, that's it. That's really all I want to talk about. Just a bit of a midweek edition. Want to mention the Brickyard this week. Want to talk a little about the San Diego Street Race. It's going to be a big deal. NASCAR is going to put a lot of effort into this, but also Chicago Streets look to be coming back. That looks like a realistic possibility. And of course, Chicagoland Speedway could be on the schedule for 2026. Also want to mention that. But that's it. All there's to talk about on this midweek edition of Dirty Air. And of course, like and subscribe if you like the video, and let's get rowdy.